Why did the CIA classify the Adam and Eve story? Many people haven't heard about this classified Adam and Eve drop. And love to the bro XX Strong XV on IG for, bringing it back, man, to the foreloom, man, so we can meditate with due meditation on these type of censored and declassified documents, just like the drag and drop with the declassified, Navy situation showing this wing situation, It don't matter if it's old or how many years ago. My naga, if that's a dragon, my naga, if that's an unidentified situation that they call a thing, then it's body bag, Daniel. It's body bag for the illusion. So let's go. Let's get a quick drop on this. And, I'm just going to lead you to the water. I'm not going to do too much reading in it. I'm just going to kind of, do some belly flopping and just let you dig on it. And you are Drop Nation, so you tell me what y'all find, man. See if we should continue the investigation on this document. CIA classified the Adam and Eve story by Chan Thomas, or we're talking Khan. This is from Disclosed.tv. So here's the reasons why Disclosed.tv says that the CIA classified this in the first place. That's what people are saying, like, why even classify it? And we know we didn't get the full drop. There's still a lot of classified sections that we didn't get, right? So we'll get right to it. Here's the two reasons they say. It says they shared information about cyclical cataclysms. All right, so we're talking floods, Noah, connecting all this. It's going to bring a lot of Sumerian drop, Gilgamesh situations, all that. All right. It explained it with a plasma universe framework. Plasma universe framework, which goes against, a lot of their science. Remember, is the moon plasma? Is the moon a plasma? Let's go. I highly recommend this read. For me, it personally connected tons of loose threads I have been researching the last couple of years. Everything is completely in line with other research I have done in it, with the exception of crust displacement theory. Well, they still have the perception of spinning on a ball, but we got a dragonfly eye perspective, so we can dodge the hijack. Remember, Ty Battle told you that. DYOH, dodge your own hijack. So we got a cycle of cataclysms on Earth. However, crust displacement is one of many more plausible theories as to what causes the cataclysms. So you can download the document from this site. All right. Got the links below. Pull them up. All right. Khan Thomas. An imaginative, fascinating account of natural catastrophe that nearly wipes all life off the face of the plane every 6,000 years. So basically every 6,000 years, a dragon comes and resets everything. Now, whether you stay in the reset is up to you. Whether you're in a loop, whether you're repeating things is up to you. Maybe you came back to help people get through a certain part of this cycle so we can get off the loop, so we can spiral up 9 above, spiral up into another octave. And that's what this vibe up's all about. That's what the tribe up's all about. Because you may have came here for information, but all we got to offer you is vibration. Wow. Allow. Alright, so I'm going to leave this link. This is from one of these threads. They said that if you, tell them, give them your name and yada yada, then they'll send you the official copy. So, I gave him my first and my middle name. A lot of people don't know, man. I am Toussaint, man. That is my name, man. I haven't got nothing from them yet, though. So we'll see. We'll see. So here's the drop, man. When you pull it up, you can click the link. You can download it from that link that we just had here. Click that link there. You'll get this copy. And again, this is the declassified in part. So there's more parts to this that, are still under wraps. This is the sanitized copy. What does that mean? Approved for release. So we definitely ain't getting the whole drop. But let's just dig on it. Belly flop, like I said. Love to the bro XX Strong XV. Let go. Cross section of the earth. So if you cut the ball in half, this is what you'll get. Or does it mean something else? I'll let you decide. There's some backstory on it. I'm just gonna jump right into it, man. I'm gonna let you get the backstory. Let me know what you find. Let go. So here's their table of contents. You got the next cataclysm, the great floods, the story, the event, genesis, and conclusion. Man, nice and easy, right? Nice and easy. And this was classified by Naga, so apparently they had, some folks looking at things and, just jotting some notes down. So why did they declassify this now, right? Like Noah, 6,500 years ago, Adam and Eve, 11,500. So they got it all down. They got all the math down, huh? This too will come to pass. Let's go. Let's get the first couple pages. Allow a while. Let's go. Read it with me, y'all. Read it with me, man. With a rumble so low as to be inaudible, growing, throbbing, then fuming into a thundering roar, the earthquake starts, only it's not like any earthquake in recorded history. All right, so keep the comment in mind. In California, the mountains shake like ferns in the breeze. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of water more than 2 miles high, then starts its race eastward with the force of 1,000 armies. The winds attack, ripping, shredding everything in its supersonic bombardment. The unbelievable mountain of Pacific seawater, right? Follows the west or the wind eastward, bearing Los Angeles and San Francisco as if they were but grains of sand. I mean, what are they trying to tell us, huh? Nothing stops the relentless, overwhelming onslaught of wind and ocean. Across the continent, the 1,000-mile-per-hour wind wreaks its unholy vengeance everywhere, mercilessly, unceasingly. Every living thing is ripped into shreds while being blown across the countryside, and the earthquake leaves no place untouched. In many places, the earth's molten sublayer breaks through and spreads a sea of white-hot liquid fire to add to the holocaust. Within 3 hours, the fantastic wall of water moves across the continent, burying the wind-ravaged land under 2 miles of seething water, coast to coast. In a fraction of a day, all vestiges of civilization are gone, and the great cities, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, New York, are nothing but legends. Barely a stone is left where millions walked just a few hours before. A few lucky ones who managed to find shelter from the screaming wind on the lee side of Pikes Peak watched the sea of molten fire break through the quaking valleys below. The raging waters follow, piling higher and higher, steaming over the molten earth fire and rising almost to their feet. Only great mountains such as this, this is the Adam and Eve story, right, classified in the CIA, right? So only great mountains such as this alone can withstand the cataclysmic onslaught. North America is not alone in her death throes. Central America suffers the same cannonade, wind, earth water, and earth fire and inundation. South America finds the Andes not high enough to stop the cataclysmic violence pounded out by nature in her berserk rage. In less than a day, Ecuador, Peru, and western Brazil are shaken madly by the devastating earthquake, burning by the molten earth fire, buried under cubic miles of torrential Pacific seas, and then turned into a frozen hell. Now think about the frozen hells right now, like Antarctica, like Greenland, different things, right? So that's what they say. So were these once, lands just like Brazil and Ecuador and Peru, and they got turned into a frozen hell? Everyone seems to agree Antarctica used to be the spot, right? Everything freezes, right? Man, beast, plant, and mud are all rock hard in less than 4 hours. How fast did Antarctica freeze over, my noggin? Europe cannot escape the onslaught. The raging Atlantic piles higher and higher upon itself, following the screeching wind eastward. The Alps, Pyrenees, Urals, and Scandinavian mountains are shaken and heaved even higher before the wall of water strikes. Western Africa and the sands of the Sahara vanish in nature's wrath under savage attack by wind and ocean. The area bounded by the Congo, South Africa, and Kenya suffers only severe earthquakes and winds, no inundation. Survivors there marvel at the sun standing still in the sky for nearly half a day. The sun standing still in the sky. So the sun is moving. Right. We're not moving around the sun is moving. That's how Joshua made the sun stand still, right? Manaka, let's go. Eastern Siberia and the Orient suffer a strange fate indeed, as though a giant subterranean scythe sweeps away the earth's foundation, accompanied by the wind in its screaming symphony of supersonic death and destruction as the Arctic basin leaves its polar home. Eastern Siberia, Manchuria, China, and Burma are subjected to the same annihilation as South America. Wind, earth fire, inundation, and freezing. Jungle animals are shredded to ribbons by the wind, piled into the mountains of flesh and bone, and buried under avalanches of seawater and mud. Then comes the terrible, paralyzing cold. Not man nor beast nor plant nor earth is left unfrozen in the entire eastern Asian continent, most of which remains below sea level. Now check this. We're just this was classified, and now it's declassified. We're just digging on it. So Antarctica and Greenland with their ice caps now rotate around the Earth in the torrid zone. And then we say, didn't Greenland, look like it, fit right, where Atlantis kind of would be, and Antarctica, it's being called Shambhala. In different documents, Antarctica is being called Shambhala. So with their ice caps now rotate around the Earth in the torrid zone, and the fury of wind and inundation marches on for 6 days and nights. During the 6th day, the ocean starts to settle in their new homes, running off the high grounds. During the 6th day. Come on, man. Right. So they're just, all right, surfing the wave. All right. Look, you already know it ain't no fear spell with us. We already know the Naga continues. So we're just digging on it. So 6 days, right? The earth is created in 6 days, right? Seventh day he rests. On the seventh day, the horrendous rampage is over. He rests, right? The Arctic ice age is ended and a new stone age begins. So it's a new beginning. The oceans, the great homogenizers, have laid down another deep layer of mud over the existing strata in the Great Plains as exposed in the Grand Canyon. How many times does Grand Canyon keep popping up in our recon, man? Painted Desert and Badlands, the Bay of Bengal Basin, just east of India, is now at the North Pole. The Pacific Ocean, just west of Peru, is the South Pole. Is that the real drop? The Pacific Ocean is the South Pole. Huh. Greenland and Antarctica, now rotating equatorially in the torrid zone, find their ice caps dissolving madly in the tropical heat. So we keep talking about, is Antarctica going to melt? You know what I'm saying? Is Greenland going to be more, tropical? Or we're just talking Atlantis, some areas, right? So now rotating equatorially in the torrid zone, find their ice caps dissolving madly in the tropical heat. Massive walls of water and ice surge towards the oceans, taking everything from mountains to plains in gushing, heaving paths, creating immense seasonal moraines. In less than 25 years, the ice caps are gone and the oceans around the world rise over 200 feet. With the newfound water, the torrid zone will be shrouded in the fog for generations from the enormous amounts of moisture poured into the atmosphere by the melting ice caps. The new ice caps begin to form in the new polar areas. Greenland and Antarctica emerge with verdant tropical foliage. My naga. Alright. Here we go. So, new ice caps begin to form in the new polar areas. Greenland and Antarctica emerge with verdant tropical foliage. So remember the Perry-Reese map. And the whole drop on the Perry-Reese map is that it's showing Antarctica with no ice caps. Let's see if we can pull that up. How do you spell that? Perry-Reese. Perry-Reese. Here we go. $15.13. Alright, so how in the world is Antarctica being shown with no ice? Come on, man. Come on, man. The baffling Perry-Reese map of 1513 is showed Antarctica centuries before discovery. Before these hijack historians discover Antarctica, it was already mapped in 1513, hundreds of years before their discovery. And in 1513, it was mapped with no ice, but without its ice. No ice, baby. No ice, my naga. I believe this might be a section here. You can see animals. Alright. This is Gustav Diesman, 1929. Alright, found this gazelle skin parchment. The parchment had a map drawn on it, and Diesman was amazed to see that it appeared to show an outline of South America. He rescued the parchment, which is now known as the Perry-Reese map, So this outline of South America is also connected with this Antarctica situation. Not only does it show Antarctica, now it says this map shows Antarctica 300 years before it was discovered, man. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before the hijack discovered it. But the continent is drawn as landmass as it would have appeared before it was covered with this ice cap, man. Go dig on it so you can, get a better picture of it. But it's just a beautiful land with, temples and castles and, what I'm saying, it's all happening. Map of the ancient sea kings. Professor Hapgood, based on University of North or New Hampshire, has studied the period Reese map with his students and found several things they could not explain. Several things, man. Cuba already appears as an island. I mean, it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. So, all right. Let's back it up. I get excited about the maps, you know what I'm saying? New ice caps begin to form, and the new polar areas, Greenland and Antarctica, emerge with tropical foliage. So, Antarctica is back to normal. It's not normal for Antarctica not to be a part of your psyche, your consciousness. Antarctica is a big piece, a big ancient piece of tropical foliage. It's beautiful. All right, now Australia is the new unexplored continent in the North Temperate Zone. So Australia is now ice. All right? And you hear about these polar shifts. It's not about the Earth spinning and all this mantle stuff. It's just the switching the vortex, man. The switching the energy. You know what I mean? Switching the magnetism. Not a trace left of LA and San Francisco. Egypt emerges from the Mediterranean in induction, new and higher, still the land of the ages. The commonplace of our time becomes the mysterious Baalbek. The commonplace becomes the Baalbek, the Baalbek. That's the hijack. A new era, yet the cataclysm has done its work. Well, the greatest population regulator of all does once more for man what he refuses to do for himself. So, clearly written in the perspective, right, of the people who keep tripping on this population situation about this regulation of population. We never had a population issue before y'all put us in these little cities and, all this little man-made, hijacked synthetic city grid. There's plenty of land for us, man. And so, look, ain't nothing but space and opportunity. What some people say, you could fit the whole world's population in Texas. But that's the damn hijack about this population regulation. That's just what the virus does, because they want to regulate you. But here's the kick right here, man, and then we'll belly flop on out of this. And you can dig on the whole drop. Like I said, I'm just leading you to the water. Love to the bro, XX Strong XV on IG. Once more, the Earth has shifted its 60-mile thick shell. Now, is this really talking about the firmament shifting? I don't know. With the poles moving along almost to the equator in a fraction of the day. Again, the atmosphere and oceans refusing to change direction with the Earth's shell have wiped out almost all life. After this tumble, we join Noah, Adam and Eve, Atlantis, Mu, and Olympus. And watch this, man, because I keep telling you, Jesus is Zeus. And don't take it from me. Take it from the CIA, And Jesus joins Osiris. Any connection? Immaculate Conception, any connection? Ta Aurora. We gotta dig on that. This Ta. And who else? Zeus. Jesus joins Osiris and Zeus. And Vishnu. Any connection between all these? I mean, that's just Yahweh Shai, right? Same story, same exact. Are you saying Jesus got the same exact story, gospels, and all that of Yahweh Shai? The same as their Joshua? Not our Joshua, not Quetzalcoatl. Their Zeus has his own glory and God's spell comes from their Osiris. We're just talking Atlantis, right? Let's go. It's getting good. It's getting good. All right, yeah, man. So that's the first section. Then it goes into the great floods. Noah, Adam and Eve, Vishnu, Osiris. What do they all have in common? They represent eras, ages apart, and yet somehow they all join hands in the next cataclysm and walk with us. There are others who walk with us too, men of science, long forgotten, those who first saw that these tumbles, these cataclysms, catastrophes, or revolutions of the earth's shell have happened before countless times. (1812), remember that comet of 1811? What's this got to do with these cataclysms, man? Yeah, so, I'm just belly flopping at this point. I mean, I definitely got to sit down with it myself. They're going to talk about this 6,000 year, loop. Is it something? Is it nothing? Let's belly flop. Literally, let's belly flop. What's it talking about? Let's go, man. So after years of research beginning in 1949, Cuvier's challenge had an answer. Yes, indeed, the cataclysms do happen, and the last one, 6,500 years ago, was Noah's flood. All right, so they happen. What is it that happens each time? The challenge was really twofold. Find the process, what happens in the cataclysm, and the trigger, what causes a cataclysm to start. All right, let's go. For the dismount, man. Drop's been dropping. All right, drop's been dropping, man. With Drop Nation. Let's go, man. What a chase. What a dramatic story of the Earth's history was uncovered. And what a dramatic story of the Earth's history we uncovered. Civilizations of 20,000 years ago, more advanced than our wildest imagination. Prehistoric legends of Greece, Egypt, India, South America, which became history instead of legend. Lost continents in the Atlantic and Pacific, which became dated realities with logical reasons for their sudden disappearance. Yes, Vishnu came alive, a man who lived through a cataclysm 70,000 years before our time, actually 10 cataclysms ago. Now he is known as the Hindu god of 10 resurrections from the water. Osiris, too, was rediscovered. He was the Jesus. They playing with us, man. All right. You see it clearly. He was the Yahweh Shai. He was the Yeshua. He was the Jesus of his time, a man of Egypt some 15,000 years ago. Noah smiled at us from the pages of the Epic of Gilgamesh. He actually was a Sumerian named Utnapishtim. And we know that these stories overlap and there's reflections and duplications. Sometimes they push it back. Sometimes they fast forward it. But yeah, let's dig on this Utnapishtim, you know what I mean? Who lived 6,500 years ago. The ark he built is more than legend, so there's some real underground foundation digging with this Noah. There's also in the indigenous, there's A story of a Cox. You could dig on that. Cox. Cox. Also had this big raft or ark surviving the flood with his family, right? So let go. Let go. We just belly flopping. Let go. So they're talking about how this Antarctica and Greenland would be swinging down to the equator. And they're giving it with the ball, Bay Owl perspective. But, try to see clearly. It says the only way they can do it would be to pull the whole 60-mile thick shell around with them. That's the only way Antarctica and Greenland can come down to the equator or rotate in, is to pull the whole 60-mile thick shell with them. Shell of what? They're saying the mantle, all this earth crust business. Are we just talking about the firmament? Do they open up a 60-mile gateway by doing this shift? Is there a gate that's open through the firmament? I don't know. As long as the shallow molten layer stays plastic, the shell won't shift. But once every few thousand years, listen up, the magnetic and electrical orderliness. So the electric and magnetic order inside the earth is disrupted, and the molten layer is allowed to act like a free liquid, which it was all the time anyway. So that's how it's able to shift around, because it goes from solid to liquid. Whoa. It then serves as a lubricant for the ice caps to pull the shell or the firmament of the earth around the inside. All right. So what's the trigger? This turns out to be the most elusive piece of the whole puzzle. We couldn't rely on some supernatural explanation like sometime happening in the heavens of the vague character which actually violated the laws of nature. No, it had to be something natural, a part of nature's or Hawa's ordinary structure, part of the order. It must be Hawa's order, which disrupts the Earth's inner electrical magnetic structure whenever it happens. My naga, we're talking energy, frequency, and vibration. You belly flop one more time in this, man. I know it's a lot of great drop. Whoa, Wisconsin. The overwhelming evidence, when put in order, gives a dramatic picture of which areas have been at the North Pole when they moved to the pole and how long they were there. Are you saying Wisconsin was once the North Pole? Come on, man. Come on, man. Sudan Basin, Arctic Ocean was once the North, so it was completely flipped. Wisconsin was the North. Is that why it's so cold in Green Bay, man? Overwhelming evidence, man. When they moved to the pole, how long they were there. Wow. 6,000 years. Wisconsin was the North Pole. That's cray. That's cray. Yes, Noah, Adam and Eve, Osiris, Ta-Ora, Zeus, and Vishnu have much deeper meanings now. And as they join hands and walk with us, we hear Adam and Eve saying, listen, for now we can truly share our story with you. So then they go into the story, the enigma, pursuit, the unraveling, my nugget. Y'all can get the drop, man. I'm just belly flopping, man. Leading you to the water. Loud water. Talking about T. Hawanako, H-U-A. Like I said, Hawa, the name is everywhere. Hawa, H-U-A is H-A-W-A is H-U-A. Hawa. The creator's name is all over the place. When you see clearly with your naked eyes. Mayan explorers at the last remains of their motherland, a frozen reservoir of mud at the bottom of the earth. Frozen. This was the time which the Talmud states was the setting of the Pleiades below the horizon, when the Holy Land was moved into a region of a terrible cold for many generations. Huh? Actually, for 5,000 years into Noah's flood. So, according to Talmud, at least, the Holy Land was moved into a region of a terrible cold. Like Antarctica. Before it was covered with its ice cap 6,000 years ago. All this civilization popping off, man. Okay. Let's bring it back. It's getting too good, man. All right. You know, when the Most High, man, reveals the earth to you, you're going to say, wow, we got a whole lot of land. We don't got to fight. We ain't got to fight at all. We ain't got to fight each other at all and have space. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the Battle family's land. That's Ty Battle's land, man. All that. You know what I mean? That's how it's going to be, man. The great continent of the Pacific disappeared almost completely, man. We're talking that Mu, huh? What is now Eastern Ireland, then on the edge of the continent, dropped to remain on the Pacific Ocean floor for 5,000 years to be heaved up again in the cataclysm causing Noah's flood. What remained of the vast Pacific continent rolled to the South Pole. Like, I don't know, Antarctica? To be discovered by Mayan explorers as the last remains of their motherland, a frozen reservoir like Antarctica. With no ice. Okay. A frozen reservoir. The Mayan tongue lived on in scattered remnants. Polynesian tongues, Greek, Yakut, Yakut, Egyptian, Eskimo tongues, nomadic, Oriental, German, American, Indian, just about all languages. The resurrection from the waters, Tao. Remember, X marks the spot, right? Let's go. Lived on in many stories of a man who survived later to become Tao Aurora, or Tong Aurora, or Torah. You know, sound like Torah, depending on which tribe's legend you find. So you literally got this Torah walking around. Anak. Come on, man. Adam and Eve could have sprung from the same story. Who knows? Yeah, man. You know, I can't put it down, man. Oh, look at this, man. A translation interpretation of Genesis 1, 2, and 3 from a reconstruction of what the Naga would it do. Take the would it do challenge. what the Naga must have been. Hold up, man. So the translation of Genesis 1, 2, and 3 from a reconstruction of what the Naga must have been to give us the chapters of what we had them in English. So they got the original drop from the Naga, from the Negus, then retranslating directly from Naga to English, bypassing Greek and Hebrew. So they translated directly from Naga to English, bypassing Greek and Hebrew. Interesting choice of flow, huh? So this is supposed to be part of the book of Genesis from a Naga perspective. Hey, y'all wasn't expecting this from the CIA. Hey man, I mean, you might have to do a whole separate drop, man, reading the book of Genesis 1, 2, 3 from a Naga perspective. I mean, wow. In the beginning, they put in parentheses 4.5 billion. I mean, that sounds very NASA-ish of you, but let's go. The universe was created in God's great design, included was our sun and our planet Earth. I'm just going to read it how they write it. And during one of the many cataclysms that occurred during the Earth's history, the Earth's lands were all inundated with raging waters and ravaged by horrendous winds, and oceans were all dark with muddiness, and the ill wind thundered over the troubled waters also, and the storms abated, sunlight came back to the face of the earth as God intended. And while the Holocaust was abating, once more darkness and sunlight was reestablished indistinguishable, and it was good. And the sunlight was again daytime, and darkness again nighttime, in accordance with God's design, and evening and morning made one day. And again God original design was that there be a sky between the clouds and oceans, a sky between the clouds and oceans. And in accordance with God's design, the heavens were reestablished, and the sky again stood between the clouds and the oceans, and the onslaught of the great storms abated, and God's heavens were indeed reestablished. And that evening and morning were the beginning of the second day. And God's design was the lands would not be entirely covered by the oceans, and were immediately following a cataclysm. So the disrupted oceans now settling drained off the higher lands. It's kind of tailoring, a little, to what we can recall from these translations. You know what I mean? I'm just belly flopping as the great fog lifted, the clouds broke, the sun and moon reappeared, and also the stars. And once again, as God intended, they shone from the heavens, and the sun and moon again were able to divide light and darkness, which was good. All right, then we got the fourth day, and you got all these creatures popping up. I mean, almost sounds like they're just kind of inserting stuff into the OG, you know what I mean? But I don't see any major difference yet. You can tell me if you see it. It's a major drop that's different. Seventh day of recovery from the Holocaust and flood were completed. The seventh day brought rest from the fight for survival against the Holocaust. And the seventh day brought God's blessing, blessed peace, and the Holocaust abated, leaving those of his creation who survived. So it is breaking it down like there's a different creations, right? So leaving those of his creation that survive. Now these are the same regenerations of the heavens and the earth as they were reestablished after the tumble previous to the one of this story. So these were the same regenerations of the heavens and the earth as they were reestablished after the tumble previous to the one of the story when the Lord God reestablished the earth and heaven. So, it's almost like, yeah, you are your ancestors, regenerations, reestablished. And it was God's will that man should rise up from the earth and keep the breath of life, remaining a living soul. This is his story, and it was God's will after the cataclysm that the continent eastward be established, and there in Eden lived the man of this story. And where's east? Where's east? And from this land grew other civilizations on other lands, with the motherland in the midst of all being the seat of wisdom, of all knowledge, both good and evil. And the inundation destroyed Eden and left only its 4 offspring land. So Eden's supposed to be, I guess, popping back up later. And it says the next 4 verses are probably incorrect with the true description locked in correct translations of Egypt's Book of the Dead. And the missing portion of the Perry Reese map, my naga. Hey, ain't it dope when you're already digging on it? Ain't it dope when you already are digging on it, man? I didn't even, it's my first time reading this, so I'm kicking it with y'all, man. But there's reference to the Perry Reese. The first land is near the river Pison, includes the whole land of Hawala, where there is gold. Hawala. Didn't we see that in reference to Cuba or something before? We've seen that before. This name Hawala and this Prester John investigation. Let me see something right quick. Havila, Eden, map, America. I feel like we saw something before on this Havila. We just surfing the wave. Havila. So they're putting it all right here, Arabia. We already know, though, how they are flipping the situation, especially with the Euphrates. We got the Euphrates here, we got the Nile here, you know what I mean? And I just remember a map. It was kind of like one of those reality simulation type joints, man. Or even some of the gamer maps. Something like this. Antediluvian, right? We're talking about the flood. We are talking about the flood, right? So check it. Before they put Havila over here in Arabia, this particular, reconner, he got Havila right here on the west side, right? This is North America. Wish we can get it big. Let me see something. Let's do some recon, y'all. Let's do some recon. Lego. Surfing the wave, man. Surfing the wave for the dismount. We're just trying to get some orientation. All right, look at here. So you can see it very small, but you can see we got this Eden here, Adam something, Aman. All this water here. This is North America, very interesting, right? Like the Udall, all that water, the Anasazi, after the famine, the Anasazi had to start traveling south. Of course, it's like everything's connected, Pangea, damn near, right? It's got Kush, Africa. And this appears to be, like a South America right here. Let me know what you think. And it looks like South America is the land of Havila. And right here where Peru would be is Zion, my Naga. And the river Euphrates is right here in North America, not in Kush. The river Pison is what would be separating South America from Africa, which would be the Atlantic Ocean now. Then you got the Pacific this way. I mean, is it something? Is it nothing? Is it something? Is it nothing? Is it something? Is it nothing? I mean, what's this got to do with the Mississippi? You tell me. Is Havila South America? We just surfing the wave. At least you see that there's different options on how you approach the recon, you know what I'm saying? Because they're going to try to put Havila, in Arabia, right? They're all over here with it. So you see land of Havila. So now it's Saudi Arabia. Over here is South America. All right, let's go. Over here is on the, back to the Arabia drop. So you choose up, you decide for the dismount. So the first land is near the river Pison, which includes the whole land of Havila, where there's gold. What are we talking about? Peru, South America, all that. The land of gold or the land of Ophir, let's go. Oh, that land is good. There is Bedelium in the onyx stone. In the onyx stone, the second land is near the river Gahan. Now, Gahan is also Jahan. Jahan is also Jahan, like John, like Prester John. We are talking the Khan of the Ethiopians. We are talking about the Rex Negus, the Naga, right? This is the Naga's perspective. Who's the king of the Abyssinians? The Ethiopians. The priest king, the Prester Jahan, River Jahan. Let's go. You can keep going, connecting this with the Euphrates. Back to this little map here, or actually here. You got the Euphrates right there, still connected with North America, man. Very interesting, man. Very interesting. We're just talking how really, right? So, you let me know, man. If there's anything else you dig on in this Genesis 1 through, or chapter 1 through chapter 3, supposed to be from more of a Naga perspective. See what other differences and jewels they drop on us. Yeah, I could tell you're gonna get into some deep Hindu drop, deep India's drop, some Purana drop. And we will be picking up the here as well with the Prester John investigation, digging on, these different Yudas and these Puranas and these Perus and these Brahmins like Abraham. More phantoms and duplications when you deal with the Dalai Lama. Alright. Just surfing the wave with y'all. You are but a seed or remnant, and this was not known to you because for generations the survivors of that destruction made no record. Was that spoken by the priest of Egypt, Timaeus? Therefore we will not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. We're talking Psalms 46. Yeah, man. Alright, and just a little bit about the author. Con Thomas attended Dartmouth College, Columbia University, received his degree in electrical engineering from the latter in 1943. As a result of his research, Thomas has become recognized as the world's leading authority in the field of cataclysmic geology and his relationship to uniform Materian geology. And you can dig more on that. So, he digs on cataclysms, man. And, kind of puts his perspective together and, adds it up with some cyclical feel, and you can dig on it. Alright, so different things he's researched from Tiwanaku to Baalbek to Khufu pyramids at Giza. Alright, so that's just some drop. Digging on this, and we skipped a lot on the intro as well. I'll also leave this link for you from reddit.com. Digging on the same documentary, declassified CIA document, Adam and Eve story. If you don't believe true history can be buried, or if you think mud flood liquefaction is impossible, read this. And then we just talk about, everything being liquefied, going from solid to liquid so that it can shift around. They say shell, we say firmament. Uh-oh. Does the firmament liquefy? Uh-oh. Let's go. So, they're just comparing this to the Tartaria documents. The actual CIA dossier on the Adam and Eve story also includes lots of peripheral documents up front, so skip to around pages 19 to 24 if you want a quick glance at the pertinent section. There is insurmountable evidence that we are the sixth advanced civilization to exist on this earth, each time getting wiped out by a calamity. I've wondered why America had long had the Smithsonian cover up the ancient artifacts that don't fit their narrative, such as the hieroglyphs in the Grand Canyon. Man, over and over, this Grand Canyon keeps coming up in our recon. Or the bones of giants all over America. And then I realized the truth rather recently. Control CIA just declassified a document called the Adam and Eve story, which is about exactly this. Nobody's quite sure who wrote it. I thought Con Thomas wrote it, or did he just put it together? However, it appears to be written by scientists working for the government, deciphering ancient text, then stumbling upon a terrible fact that every 5,000 to 6,000 years, the strength of the poles wane and begin to change positions, and when this occurs, the mantle keeping our landmass in its current position turns to jelly, or does the firmament liquefy? You can dig on it. And cool little comment here, man, just for the dismount, in case y'all think it's play when they keep saying this happened so long ago, 6,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. Just check this out. Yes, except it might not be 10,000 years. So this cat right here says, this is the point where you have to realize that all ancient religions' myths were stories of true events passed down through thousands of generations, and now we are coming around full circle and remembering what has been lost to humanity for the last 10,000 years. And this cat here says, yeah, except it ain't been 10,000 years. That's the crazy part. The last one may have been as recent, listen up, as 300 to 500 years ago. Now this, I don't know, this cat is just a comment, but it correlates with all this Anatoly Fomenko chronological shifts, 333 years, 1,054 years, and 1,778. How much did they shift our timelines around? And did the real, is all this more recent than we think? I mean, when we see that Antarctica didn't have ice on it, even as recent as the 1500s, should at least, pop off some reality in your head bone, my naga. Some reality should start popping off, my naga. That this might be a recent freeze over, this might be a recent spell. And is the captivity over? And does that mean that our beautiful world is being reverberated? Vibed up, and it has nothing to do with destruction, everything to do with replenishing, salvation. So when they say destruction, we say salvation. And we give all credit and all praise to our one and only Savior, the only one that can save us, our framer and our shaper, our mother, who this earth calls wisdom, puts the ingredients together. And our Father is the vibration, is the security that shapes us, that molds us like a potter, making a beautiful pot from fine clay. We have a frame and a shaper, and it's reality season. This is our redemption, and it's time to coronate with that roni. It's time to crown the Naga from a Naga perspective. Oh, wow.